the mysterious disappearance that still haunts experts. Every so often, history hands us a mystery so chilling, so impossible to explain, that even the world's best experts are left speechless. One such case continues to baffle historians, scientists, and conspiracy theorists alike: the mass disappearance of the Roanoke colony in 1587. Over 4 centuries later, no one truly knows what happened, and the clues that remain only deepen the mystery. This is the story they tell in school. In 1587, over 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina, hoping to build a new life in the New World. Led by John White, they planted crops, built houses, and tried to coexist with local native tribes. Supplies ran low, and White returned to England for help. When he finally came back 3 years later, he found the settlement abandoned. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just a single word carved on a post: Croatoan. That's where the schoolbook version stops. But what they don't tell you is what else John White found, and what the historians carefully avoid mentioning. The clues that shouldn't exist. John White reported that the fort's palisade walls had been carefully dismantled, not destroyed by force. There were no bones, no graves, no bloodstains. It looked as if the colony had simply packed up and walked away. But to where? The word Croatoan pointed to a nearby island and its native inhabitants, the Croatoan people. White searched for them but found no trace of the colonists there either. It was as if they had been swallowed by the earth. What's even stranger is that White described seeing strange symbols carved into trees around the settlement, symbols that did not match the writing or markings of any local tribe. Modern experts have compared them to runes, symbols more common in Norse or even ancient European mysticism than in Native American art. No one can explain how they got there. Theories or cover-ups. Of course, the official explanation is simple. The colonists were starving and likely integrated with local tribes, leaving no further trace. But if that were the case, why no evidence? Why no descendants, no records among the Croatoan? Why the secrecy and fear whenever these questions came up in colonial reports? Some researchers suspect the colonists encountered something far stranger. There are hints in local Native American legends of skinwalkers, shape-shifting spirits who could appear as animals or humans, luring entire groups to their doom. Could the settlers have run afoul of a force beyond human understanding? Others believe secret societies may have spirited them away. Elizabethan England was rife with occult groups, and some suspect that hidden agents may have embedded themselves among the settlers, carrying out a ritual or an agenda never meant to be discovered. The strange runes, the dismantled structures, and the total absence of remains all support the idea that something ritualistic, or even supernatural, happened on Roanoke Island. The lost colony's cursed legacy, the Roanoke disappearance, set off centuries of fear. Later colonies were warned away from the area, convinced the land itself was cursed. Ships refused to anchor near it. Sailors whispered about ghostly figures wandering the beaches at night, calling out in strange, unearthly voices. In the centuries that followed, local native stories grew about a white tribe that had vanished into the forest, leaving behind children with blue eyes and fair hair who spoke in riddles and vanished just as quickly as they appeared. But no one could ever prove their existence. In the 1800s, settlers in the region found tools and artifacts buried in patterns suggesting ceremonial sacrifice. Some even claimed to see shadowy shapes among the trees, watching them with silent, malevolent patience. The paranormal connection. Modern paranormal investigators believe Roanoke was the site of an interdimensional event, a so-called thin place where reality itself wavers. They point to electromagnetic anomalies, strange lights, and unexplained disappearances of modern visitors to the island even today. There are tales of people who went camping on Roanoke and were never seen again, or who returned dazed and unable to explain what they had witnessed. Electronics fail, compasses spin wildly, and some report hearing voices that seem to come from nowhere. Could the colonists have stumbled across a portal, a rip in space and time? Or did they unwittingly take part in an ancient ritual that opened a door, one they could never close again? Why, we may never know. One of the strangest facts about the Roanoke case is how thoroughly the British authorities covered it up. They pressured White to write as little as possible in his journals, and later, maps of the area were redrawn to hide clues. Archaeologists who tried to investigate in the 20th century found themselves blocked by the National Park Service, which claimed to be protecting fragile heritage, yet refused to allow ground-penetrating radar to explore the settlement's ruins. Why? If there's nothing to hide, why stop the search? The mystery persists. 400 years on, the Roanoke mystery still grips the imagination. Was it starvation, a native attack, disease, or something far darker? A conspiracy to erase a failed experiment, a supernatural event that couldn't be explained, or an initiation into secret knowledge that no outsider was meant to see? Even now, Roanoke Island is a magnet for paranormal researchers, cryptographers, and conspiracy hunters. Every few years, a new clue emerges. A DNA match, a buried relic, a fragment of a diary, only to vanish or be discredited almost immediately. It is as though someone or something wants the truth buried forever. Final thoughts. Perhaps the most frightening thing about the Roanoke disappearance is not that over 100 men, women, and children vanished without a trace, but that those in power seem desperate to stop us from ever knowing why. Every civilization has its secrets, but Roanoke feels different, like a wound that can never fully heal, a question that can never be answered. So if you ever walk the beaches of Roanoke Island at dusk, listen carefully. You might hear a whisper in the sea breeze, a faint voice calling across centuries, a reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved.